Have you ever wondered what if when it comes to your life? I know I think about what if all the time. I wonder what my life would have looked like if I was raised in an Indigenous community. I wonder if I would be different. I wonder if I would still have all the same qualities that make me, me. The what ifs of my life used to put me in a really dark place. My thoughts would spiral with all the what if scenarios and bring upon a sadness. Through this process, though, I've learned I can't focus on the what ifs. I have to focus on what is. I had to remind myself to live in the present and not let the past determine my future. All the negative thoughts of what could have been were blocking my ability to see what I had right in front of me the whole time. And that's love, family, and friends. I've always had my mom and my sisters by my side. We were raised on love and good values. And I had to remember that my love and good values obviously came from somewhere or someone. One of our favorite pastimes is to take a trip down memory lane every once in a while. My mom, my sisters, and I will flip through photo albums and look at pictures and come up with old funny stories that we remembered. Some of my favorite memories from childhood are the ones that I spent with my grandparents, especially my grandmother. Growing up, we had a very close bond with our grandparents. We spent weekends out there, swimming in the creek, working on the farm, helping my grandma around the house. Spending time with our grandparents truly felt like a little mini vacation every weekend. There were times when we weren't rich with a lot of things, but I realize now we were so rich with love in our family. And I owe a lot of that love and good memory of childhood and my upbringing to Sylvia, aka Mrs. Gouget, or as I know her and call her, just my grandma. My mother was extremely fortunate in the sense that she only ever had one foster home her entire life. So, luckily for me, it was very easy to get Mrs. Gouget's side of the story. I just went to my grandma's house and we sat down and she filled me in on all the questions that I had to ask for her.
Yes, I swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
A good sense of humor is a quality my family takes very seriously. Back to more about who my grandma is.
I was born in Prince Edward Island, Southwest Lot 16, born at home with a home birth in Prince Edward Island, 1938.
My grandma eventually made her way to Edmonton, Alberta. She explains more on how that happened.
Because when I got married, my husband was originally from Alberta, and we moved there after we got married. We moved there to Edmonton.
And of course, I had to ask how they met because I didn't even know that part of the story yet.
We met actually. He was in town in Ladner, where I was raised. The oil rig and the fellows from Alberta came in drilling for oils, and of course, all the young girls were gaga. See, at that time, I was working part-time as a waitress. I always got a real big tip, so I knew that he liked me.
When did you know that you wanted to be a mom?
I think I've always known that I wanted to be a mother because I was raised as the oldest girl in a family of 8 children, and I just had that instinct. And of course, my mother died young, and I did help a lot with the younger children in the house, and that was always my desire to be a mother, because to me that gave me the greatest sort of happiness.
I was really curious to know what led my grandmother to choose foster children. and if she had ever had desire to have her own biological children.
I had fertility issues and that I wouldn't be able to have children at all, I was told. So I approached the Catholic Children's Aid Society because I had two friends that had little foster children. And they came and interviewed me. And we just had a small little one-bedroom apartment with a kitchen and living room combined. It was the size of a postage stamp. But anyway, they came and they looked the place over and that, and I filled out some paperwork, and they basically asked me if I was willing to take children that had physical defects or deformities or issues like mental issues, or children of mixed race and color. And I said yes, yes, yes to all of the above.
Now, if you remember from the previous episode, the paperwork seemed like everything was moving so fast. I asked my grandma how fast were things actually moving on her end.
Well, it was strange because I got a call from the social worker and said that they had a baby girl that was just born, and would I be interested in taking her into our home? And I was actually quite surprised because I think it had only been about a week before that I filled in this paperwork.
Yeah.
And so anyway, they came and they brought Michelle, and I had no crib or nothing because I wasn't planning to have someone that quick. And she was on the bed, and that's where she was when her dad came in and my husband came in. I said, "Do you notice anything different?" And he looked and said, "Oh, something about a new bedspread or something." And here Michelle was on there. He was surprised to see her.
You brought her home that first night. Were you happy? Were you scared? Like, do you kind of remember what those first few weeks
I was very happy. I was very happy. A little bit nervous because I had nothing prepared for her. No bed or a crib or any clothes or anything. But yes, I was really, really happy. And I was thought, oh my goodness, here's my wish, my desire, my dream has come true. Here's my baby. Yeah.
Another very unique layer to this story is that my mom's biological older brother ended up in the care of my grandmother as well. She explains how she came to be the foster parent of Michelle's older brother, David.
Okay, Dave was not even 2 years old at the time. At this time, we had already had Michelle for a year, and we had planned to come back to BC, to live in BC again. And out of the blue, they said, well, Michelle has a little brother. Would you like to have him also? Well, I was floored because we'd never, as far as I knew, she was an only child. And poor little guy, apparently he had 10 foster homes by the time he was 2. But when he came to our home, he took and he emptied out the ashtrays and he tidied up around he wasn't even 2 years old, and he was dressed basically in rags. It was so sad.
My uncle David, my mom's brother, is somebody that I have so many good memories about. I always remembered him as my funny uncle that could always crack a joke and knew how to make anybody laugh. He was also extremely smart. Bookwork, especially things like math, came extremely easy to him. My uncle, unfortunately though, was faced with a life of extreme hardships. And I truly believe in my heart that there was irreversible damage done to his existence in those first few years of life before he came into the care of my grandmother. 10 foster homes before the age of 2, and knowing how to carry out chores like cleaning ashtrays are not healthy signs of a good childhood, especially in those crucial developmental years of childhood. It's as if those first few years set the tone for the rest of his life. You saying like Uncle David, when he came in, was very, you could tell he had not been taken care of very well.
Yeah.
And even up until his passing, like he struggled with a lot of things.
Yes.
And I think a lot in part has to do with the fact that when he was such a small child, and those really crucial developmental years, things happened that stuck with him for the rest of his life. Yes.
Well, another thing too is that when I got Michelle, I was working, and one of my co-workers had a little foster child from the Catholic. That's how I got involved with the Catholic Children's Aid Society. She was a little native girl, and she was so pretty and so sweet. She was 2 or 3 years old, but I seen the difference how they treated her compared to their own children. And I always thought they were not being mean, but being very strict and uncaring. And so when we moved into this apartment, my landlady also had taken in a little native foster child, a little girl, and she was so beautiful too. I just love that little girl, and that's when I think I decided I wouldn't mind getting a little girl like that. But again, I noticed the difference, the treatment that they gave that child compared to their own children. And I thought to myself, that's not right. That little child deserves the same kind of love. Absolutely. Yeah, you know, my daughter, Michelle, being, you know, of native blood, being raised in a white home never made me think that I'm raising a little native girl. It was always somebody that was part of me. I never looked upon her like she was less and inferior, or, but as she went through some difficult times, I realized that sometimes it was because of the fact that she of a race, and I'm sure it was difficult for her many times. I just always felt that I was lucky enough to be there no matter what. And same with all of my children. I just felt just a great deal of happiness to be able to be their mother.
I realize now it's this unconditional love that my grandmother showed my mom her whole life, and then to us, that really made the difference for our family. My mom has a very similar opinion. She even wrote about it in a book.
My chapter, it briefly touches on certain aspects of my life, from being put into foster care in a white family. I wrote mostly about my mother.
I think you pass your values on to your children, and they pass it on to their children, and so on and so forth. It all goes back to the values I got from the family I lived in. Absolutely. And that's one thing, we were never racist in our family, never. I had Japanese friends and East Indian friends, and I credit my mom and dad for instilling that in us, yeah.
I think without her, I wouldn't have had the life that I have, and the values that are within me that I put out there to my daughters, and they carry on with the same thing and the same great values, and that meant a lot to me. So this is the book, Women Like Me. This is volume 4, and I am chapter 5. In case you're looking, it's available on Amazon. And my chapter is titled Unconditional Love and How I Found It. How I built my family. But what I would like to read, it pretty much sums up my relationship with my mother, my mom.
Now, completely unbeknownst to me, my grandmother had also written how she felt about love and the love that she felt for her children. My grandma wrote this in 1997, but this is the first time I'm hearing it.
Okay, this is the poem that I wrote. I wrote a poem to all of my children, but this one was for my 4 special children, as I called them. And I felt compelled to write that because I wanted them to know, just in case anything ever happened to me, what it meant to have them.
In telling my story, I can show how I have grown into the woman I have wanted to be since I was a little girl.
So this is called A Dedication of Love, and it starts out, My dear, sweet, special children, for a very long time now, I've wanted to tell you in my own way, with words that express my thoughts, how much love I feel for all of you as each day goes by.
Watching and learning from my mom has given me a strong foundation. She has shown me how to love, care, be kind, and generous. Also what it takes to be a good listener, that shoulder for someone to cry on, and to have empathy for those who need it, to never judge anyone, and above all, to be honest. These are cherished gifts that my mother has given me.
I can never thank your mother or father enough for giving me this chance and opportunity to care for you and love you. Their sacrifice made it possible for me to share my love with you. I was able to be the mother I always wanted to be, and without you, I could never have fulfilled that desire.
Always be grateful for family and for the love you receive from them. It's that love that keeps us moving forward and keeps our feet planted firmly on the ground.
The joy you have brought me each day has given me devotion and dedication to express my undying love for you and to accept your faults as my faults also. I hope we can achieve all that we can be together and be if we stand united.
I have learned that we get in return what we put out in the world. Take nothing for granted.
You will always be my special children, for the love we share is special to us alone. The love you gave to me as a mother is an honor and acknowledgement that few others can understand or appreciate. A part of me is forever in your hearts to keep, as it is in mine for you.
It doesn't matter how you have built your family, because with family comes love, and without love, what is there?
We all hold the keys to unlock the door to each other's heart, for we are bound together as family and joined by ties of love. The gratitude and passionate devotion I feel for all of you will endure the fiercest battle and the strongest test of time. I will gladly share with all that I have a claim on your heart, your emotions, and your heritage. I fear not what I have to lose, for what I have gained from each of you, no one can ever begin to challenge or equal. My love, my respect, and my devotion is the gift I give you to share with me. That alone is enough to bind us together in heart and soul for now and always. Thank you for giving me the pleasure of calling you my children. Without you, it was only a dream to me, but you made it come true. I only wish every parent could be so blessed as I was. My undying love is yours forever, for you gave to me what you gave no other, the honor of being called your mother. With much love, your mother. Yeah, of course I knew I was going to blubber when I was reading it, but...
At the beginning, I was talking about how I had to shift my focus from what if to what is. And what is, for me, meant acknowledging all of the things that I do have and being happy and grateful for the life that I have been given. I recently made a leap of faith to try something new and stepped out of my comfort zone and took a stab at stand-up comedy. A busy week for me. Tonight I have stand-up comedy for the OK Dope Comedy Show. Tomorrow I have a documentary premiere. Saturday I'm doing a performance at Club 11. And it's gone over really well for me. Things are happening very fast, but I think I owe a lot of my funny or my qualities of being able to find the humor to somebody like Sylvia and my mother, Michelle. They've given me the tools that I need in life to be able to get through. And for us, finding the funny is one way to get through.
You get along good with Mrs. Gouget's children.
Yeah, that's right. The best. So instead of me dwelling on what could have been, I'm happy that I have the values that Sylvia, Mrs. Gouget, passed on to me.
Well, at one time, at least in Ladner, when I go out with the kids, they used to say, "Here comes Mrs. Gouget and the United Nations," because all my children were of different blood.
That's so funny. I never heard